Hi. To illustrate today's cognitive distortion, we're going to start with a story that's in the news right now. Most of you have seen this picture, and most of us have probably publicly or privately made a determination about what was happening in this picture. Now, what we know is that a group of Catholic high school kids, some wearing MAGA hats, including the kid in the photo, were in Washington, D.C. for a March for Life rally. They were taken there by their high school. And at the same time, there was an Indigenous Peoples March where this tribal elder was marching for Indigenous rights. He is an Indigenous rights activist. Now, within a few hours, there were viral videos saying teens in MAGA hats harass Native American elder. And that was the narrative for a few hours. And then there was reporting that the kids' parents were coming out and saying that their child had been harassed on the mall, either by this activist or other activists. And then there was backlash saying, oh, sure, bring up activists or, minorities and as a scapegoat to redeem your son. So it got pretty ugly. And it eventually today there were videos, at least that I saw today, that indicated that there were a group of Hebrew Israelites, it's the name of their group, that actually was video evidence anyway showing that there was harassment of these high school students that in some way impacted what led up to this photo. But I'm bringing this up because this is an excellent example of today's cognitive distortion that I want to go through with you, which is jumping to conclusions. And jumping to conclusions happens when we interpret events without all of the relative information in a way that is not supported by facts. And we can do this in a couple of ways. You can mind read, which means that without checking it out, you conclude that you know what someone else is thinking or feeling. So, so if your husband can't seem to get the dirty laundry into the hamper and it's on the floor, and you are absolutely positive that he did it just to drive you crazy, that could be mind reading. Fortune telling is when you predict future outcomes without examining all the relevant information to be able to predict what's going to come. And an example here is that there's no point in trying. I'm not going to get the job anyway, so why even go to the interview? Or something along those lines. So both of those are examples of jumping to conclusions, which is what happened in this case to most of us. So jumping to conclusions is interpreting the facts, interpreting events without all of the facts in a way that is not supported by evidence. If you made a determination, even now, if you made a determination, we're probably jumping to conclusions because we still don't have all of the relevant facts. And the picture that was taken was one person's perspective. And what happened is that we took that perspective and we made it our own. And when we made it our own, what we probably did was combine jumping to conclusions with the other mental filter that we just learned about, which is with the other cognitive distortion that we just learned about, which is the mental filter, which is when you focus on aspects of a situation that match your worldview and you discount any aspects that don't match your already formed worldview. So, the world was divided, if you will, and that viral video, within hours, there were memes. And depending on what your worldview is, you probably fell into one of these two groups. If your worldview is that, yeah, those kids in MAGA hats, that's what they're like. It certainly doesn't surprise me that they acted that way. They're MAGA people are all racists, well, then you're going to fall into this camp where I'm starting to think that these MAGA folks might be racist. That was up and on social media very shortly after this. And it was shared by many, many, many people. But if, on the other hand, you are prone to believe that being white in America, wearing your MAGA hat, standing proud, is now considered a hate crime, then you're going to fall into this one. You're going to, if you believe that the issue here was that he was white and that's why people are persecuting him, you're going to fall into that camp. So when someone makes these memes, and I don't know how they do it so quickly, it seems as though they were up there before they even left the mall. It's so easy for us because we look at these pictures and say, well, somebody was there. They probably know what happened. And because it fits with what we already believe, that's all we need. And then we take off and we go running. And it isn't helpful that the news media proliferates this, because what they do now, instead of reporting, because reporting and investigating and looking at a story from all angles to find out the truth, that takes time, and these things are up within minutes of things happening, and the news doesn't want to get caught flat-footed, so they just report what's going on in social media. And then a couple of days later, when investigative reporting actually happens, now we're finding out that there is more to the story and we're finding out the truth. But who has time for that? I mean, the memes happen so quickly. We need to, say which side we're on before, we can wait for 2 days. So now it's important to remember that we're interested in these cognitive distortions because what we do and how we interpret the world determines our actions. So maybe we share one meme versus another. No big deal, right? Except that if we do that without full information, we're just adding to the confusion and the fake news and the discord in our world. But there were other actions that were much more problematic. The Catholic diocese came out and apologized for the boys and said, we're going to take action up to and including expulsion. And that still might happen because we don't know exactly the full story. But they made that announcement before they knew the full story. The mayor of Covington, where the boys are from, said these videos being shared don't represent our beliefs and values. And kind of disavowing the kids. And even worse, there are threats of physical violence and even death threats against the kid when there isn't full information. When we act on inappropriate information and we misinterpret the information coming into us, we can make huge mistakes that have very serious consequences. If there was a angry person in the crowd with a weapon, we've seen what can happen, and it ruins lives. I believe that we can learn from this situation. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we all learned something? If we took something away from it? If we learned that maybe when we hear a story, even if it confirms our biases, that we should wait to get the full picture. Or maybe we should learn that people who put out 9-word memes to explain complex human interactions, maybe they don't have the full story. And maybe we could learn that that we all have a part to play in making this country better. I do have hope that we can learn to be better citizens. I think that we can learn to be better consumers of information and be more responsible sharers of information and more aware that what we do and what we share impacts other people who look up to us or believe what we post. So, learning to critically examine events and getting full information so that we have an accurate view of the world is a great start. So, thank you for watching this and doing your part to make things better. Until next time, happy, good mental health to all of you.